Hello and welcome back to another episode of Void Talk. I'm your host, Rainstorm. You can call me Rain. I still don't have an intro. I still don't have any sort of professional things set up because I'm good at this. But today, as you might have noticed by the title, we're finally doing an episode that isn't about politics. Woo! You hear the applause? That's not me. That's the that's all of you clapping right now. So yeah, I guess the personal life update. Things are not going better in my life, but I have tried to be more positive. I don't know if I talked about cleaning, but I did a lot of cleaning over the past couple weeks. I took basically my whole apartment apart, cleaned all everything, including my computer, which had like 3 or 4 years of dust in it because I don't clean it that often. Um, and yeah, and I rearranged my apartment, so we are in a bit of a new position. I don't think I've recorded a void talk over here, so I am in a new position. I don't know if the sound is affected. I guess let me know in the comments if my sound is worse or better. I don't think it would be better. I'm closer to the windows now. I mean, it means you'll probably more likely to hear like if sirens go off in the back. But anyway, today what we're going to be talking about is anime. Yeah. So I like anime. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty nifty. And I've been watching anime for a while. Um, I do have a thing that should give me the exact date. Let me look that up before I turn on my screen. So you guys don't have to see all my junk. But I think I can probably have a day when I first started really getting into it because we're going to be looking at my current document, but I do have an older document that I used to use. And now I moved everything to the new document. And that's what we're going to be going through today is my document of every anime I have ever seen with ratings. We're not going to dwell on too many of them, but basically it's going to boil down to me giving you my top 10-ish, that asterisk, double asterisk, baby kind of. I'm really inconsistent and still need to rewatch some of them because my ratings and taste have changed over time. Okay, here. I think this one is it. Yeah, okay. Think this is the original document. So we're going to go to view, file, version history, see version history. We're not going to be looking at this document. I have not looked at this document in years and I don't know what's in it. So yeah, this document was created on April 30th, 2017 at 1:06 p.m. This is not the document we'll be looking at, but that gives you an idea of around when I got into anime. And I guess we can go into the story a little bit more when we look at the real document that we're looking at today. Let me pull this up. This document, let's there we go. This document was created on July 16th, 2018 at 6:17 p.m. I love this version history feature, by the way. This is the coolest part about Google Doc. Like every change I make is recorded forever. So let's actually go into the document. So we're going to be looking at this document. We're going to be going through. Let's start with my ratings. I've changed these a lot over time. I use a 10-point scale with a plus system. So a 0 plus would be slightly above this, would be between a 0 and a 1. There technically exists a 10 plus. There's only one thing I've ever given it to, and it doesn't exist in the rating scale anymore because I combined seasons into single shows. So it was one season of one show that got it. It's I guess spoilers. It's Chihaya Furu season 2 gets the 10 plus. Nothing else got the 10 plus. That's the only thing that ever got it. So it functionally doesn't exist. So let's go over my ratings. I've never given a 0. So I guess I should also say how I watch anime. I'm not like a reviewer, right? Like, I do want to have like I'm not doing this because I'm like a professional anime reviewer or anything. Because the thing about a professional reviewer is a reviewer watches a broad swath of things. A reviewer should have a lot of breadth of experience, good things, bad things, things that are not to their taste, things that are, and they develop this sort of sense of what is good and what is bad based on that. I'm not a reviewer. I'm not investing my life into being a reviewer. I have no interest in watching things that I don't think I'm going to like. So, by and large, I pick anime that I think I'm going to like. That said, there are some twos, threes, and fours in here. I don't think there's any ones in here, but I don't think I've ever had a one. But I guess I'll go over my ratings. We'll go over 0 and 1 quickly because I don't think they exist. Um, 0 would be something absolutely heinous. I definitely wouldn't finish it. It would be disgusting in a way that makes me feel physically ill. I don't think I can think of anything off the top of my head that would be a good example of this, but I know stuff like this does exist. So I have the rating, right? A 1 is an unwatchable piece of garbage. It's not like it doesn't make me like violently ill just because it exists, right? Like it's just really awful and unwatchable. 3 is like 2 is like it's very bad, but like there's maybe something there, or maybe like it's not completely suffering to watch, or it's very suffering, but I laughed a couple of times. I don't think it's like maliciously bad. 3 is generally just kind of like I wasted my time watching this, but I didn't want to die by the end. 4 is still negative, like, but okay, I guess. Like, it's not watchable. I mean, it is watchable, but like, I wish I hadn't watched it. 5, and this is where it's going to get a little odd because obviously I imagine most people are familiar with the American education system, where a 5 would be somewhere closer to like a 7, 75, and 80. But for me, that's just a neutral. 5 is a neutral nose exhale. I I don't regret watching it. I don't even I think I don't entirely. I don't regret watching it. I don't regret watching it. But it's just kind of nothing. It's a, you know, a neutral nose exhale, as I said. There's no nothing. I don't, you know, I have there's criticisms I would have of it. There's the things I think are good, and ultimately I just don't care that much. A 6 is the first good score. So you're going to probably see a lot of things that you're going to be like, "Holy shit, how did you give that a 6?" It's a 6 is good. A 6 is good. I like a 6. A 6 is I enjoyed it. I probably wouldn't watch it again, but I enjoyed my time watching it. If it sounds interesting to you, you know, go ahead. A 7 is like my most common score. Like 7 and 7 plus are the thing you're going to see the most. And when I scroll down, and 7 is good. It is fun. It is good. I have a good time watching it. I really liked it. 7 is the absolute like good grade. A 7, I guess, would be like an if you were on like an American test, like an 89 or a 90. Like it's good. It's pretty good. I liked it. You know, an 8 is you did it. It is good. It is very good. An 8 is a very good score. 8 is like a step above. It's beyond me just liking it. I loved it. You know, an 8 is like a 95% on a test in the American education system, right? That's like you did a damn good job. A 9 is an 100 on your test, right? A 9 is you did it. It's really fucking good, dude. 9 is an absolute banger. You killed it. Greatest shit I've ever seen. A 10 is special. A 10 for me has to be special. It has to hit me in a way nothing else ever has, which is why I have reduced the number of 10s over time. And you're going to see some 10s that I'm going to put asterisks next to because I need to rewatch them to make sure that they're still a 10. Because a 10 has to be special to me in a way that very few things are. So there are very few 10s, and there may well be more 10s as I do rewatch, fewer 10s as I do rewatches. So I'm very stingy with 10s. A 10 isn't perfection because you can get a 98 on a test and still get over 100 points with the extra credit, right? It's not about being perfect. I'm not one of those like, oh, there's no such thing as perfection, so I don't give out 10s. No, I do give out 10s. A perfection is 9. This is perfect. This is something that's particularly special, something unique and above and beyond. And there isn't very many things that do that, but they exist. And it doesn't even have to be perfect. There are 10s that are probably technically worse than a 9, but just do something so amazing that they deserve to be put above, put on a pedestal above everything else. And without further ado, let's scroll onto the list, starting with the first generation of anime. These are the animes I watched as a kid. There's probably some other stuff. I would probably also include. See, I don't have the official episode list of the Yu-Gi-Oh and of the original of the Yu-Gi-Oh season 1 dub that I would have watched as a kid because I had them. I would watch them like on Cartoon Network sometimes, and I had some VHSs, and I was a big fan, but I could only really watch like part of Duelist King. I think I watched I had most of Duelist Kingdom. I think is what I had. So like I am familiar. So I was familiar with that, but like I struggled to find a way to put that properly on this chart. These are the shows I watched before college, basically. Everything before college is on this list. I saw Spirited Away like 3 times before college. I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now. Spirited Away, obviously the first 10 on the list. It is my favorite movie. It's so fucking good. I'm not gonna go super in depth into any of these, especially the movies, because like it's a Ghibli movie, everybody knows it's good. But Spirited Away is just something else. It's got a vibe. You'll notice that a lot of the high rated ones have a similar vibe to Spirited Away, that sort of ethereal, magical vibe that just feels so unique and fresh and just has a great story, characters. The vibes are so immaculate in Spirited Away. That is what puts it above a 9 for me. That is what puts it to that 10. Pyramid of Light, I have now seen both I had only seen the dub for a long time. I recently finally saw the sub, and you know what? I still fucking hated it. It was awful. Not good. Obviously, anybody who knows Yu-Gi-Oh knows Bonds Beyond Time is suck. See, it's not like a 2, right? Like I don't suffer sitting through Bonds Beyond Time. I just wish I wasn't watching Bonds Beyond Time. It's very different. And now we entered the early college era, and that is going to be the gateway. Namely Dragon Ball. I got into Dragon Ball ironically through the abridged series, which is a horrible thing to admit, and I'm deeply ashamed. But eventually it convinced me to watch Dragon Ball. I watched Dragon Ball every morning in college in my freshman year. In the second half of my freshman year, I just started watching it every morning. It was just like part of the ritual, and it was nice. Dragon Ball's great. I had a lot of fun watching it. It gets a 9, obviously. I mean, it's Dragon Ball, right? It's obviously got some weird stuff that has aged poorly, but by and large, it's really funny. It's really fun. It's way better than Z. It's just great. It's just a good time, and I really loved Dragon Ball, and yeah, and that really wasn't what got me into. And then I continued into Z, and then I stopped. I stopped Z at around the Cell Saga, and then I watched all of the Boo Saga as in Z, and then I watched Kai through the Cell Saga, and I watched Kai through the Cell Saga because I fucking hate the Cell Saga. It's so bad. I'm sorry if you love Cell. It's so boring. I couldn't. I can't. He's so uninteresting to me. The Frieza saga is long enough. Like I love Frieza, and it's so Dragon Ball is just so slow. It just doesn't have enough to offer in the earlier seasons, and it's not like and it spent so much time being overly serious and not funny enough the way Dragon Ball was. Like, because Dragon Ball could do like a bunch of funny filler episodes, and you'd enjoy it because it's Dragon Ball and it's funny. But Z just was rough. Like, it's just, oh, Namek is so overlong. So is the fight against Vegeta. Everything goes on for like 500 episodes, and just nothing interesting happens. It's like two things happen per episode, and it gets boring. I hate to be that person, but I am not a fan of Dragon Ball Z. I'm a heretic. I know that doesn't mean I don't love all of the characters, right? But it's just rough. The funniest thing is that I'm probably the only person whose favorite saga is the Boo saga. I just thought it was the funniest, and it had the most stuff going on. There's the most side characters and things to do. It does drag as it goes on, but you know. Anyway, let's talk about Kill la Kill, because Kill la Kill was my gateway drug. This was the thing that got me hooked. Like, Dragon Ball is one thing, and then I don't even remember how I found Kill la Kill, how I decided to watch it, but it was the thing that hooked me once and for all. I am now an anime fan, and I want to see what this medium has to offer. I also started watching Arc 5 at this time. Arc 5 is a really cool show. It's also a total fucking disaster. I do not regret watching it, which is why it gets a 5 plus, right? I don't regret watching Z, right? A 5 plus is still a good score. It just means like I'm pretty neutral overall, all right? Highs and lows. I'm glad I watched it, but overall I'm neutral. And Arc 5 gets the same treatment. Next up is Watamote, and this is the third 10 originally. This was originally a 10. I haven't rewatched it. I don't know if this is still an 8. This may well be like a 5. I have not seen this anime since I first watched it. The only thing I have done is downgrade it from a 10 to an 8 because it absolutely did not deserve a 10. And that's it. What am I doing? This is incorrect rating. So yeah, Watamote, just it kind of ignore that one. I don't know. It was my second anime right after Kill la Kill because I was a depressed emo loner, and I still am a depressed emo loner. So obviously that appealed to me when I was looking things up. You will see some themes in what anime I picked because, again, like I said, I picked anime that I thought I'd like. And then, of course, I heard all these rumors about the best anime, Madoka Magica. Everybody said it's the best. So I watched Madoka, and I gave it a 10 at the time. I guess I just spoiled the twist, but I rewatched Madoka. I did rewatch it like very recently, as some viewers will probably know, because I host a weekly movie night in a community Discord, and we recently just did this. But I had actually rewatched it about a year ago as well. I'm sure that's somewhere on this list. I also keep track of what I watch every year. That's at the bottom of the list. But Madoka, I rewatched it about a year or so ago, thinking that I was going to have to downgrade it from a 10 because obviously it's like overrated. It's the 15th anime I watched. It had to be overrated. The problem was it turned out I liked it more on the rewatch, and I've liked it even more on the third rewatch. It's so fucking good. If you haven't seen Madoka, watch it. I could ramble on for hours. Homura, I think, is probably one of, if not my favorite characters, both ever, both for just how well she's written, and also just for personal bias reasons. I strongly relate to her endless struggle of where she takes a step forward and two steps back, just forever on a loop, for the rest of time, and that's relatable for me for some reason. So I find her very relatable. I agree with all of her actions in Rebellion. I don't know why I have it in Japanese here, but whatever. It's going to be inconsistent because I wrote, this is, when I wrote it. I wrote these when I wrote them. I'll change them sometimes. I won't other times. But yeah, Madoka is easily one of my favorite animes. When we get to the top 10, it's in the top 10. Spoilers. It's actually in the top 3. That's our first top 3. We're about to get to another one of the top 3 because the next anime I watched, of course, was Love Live. Love Live is great. It's really fun. It's a music anime, and it's really fun, and there's a lot of fun stuff going on. The characters are really interesting. The main two characters in Honoka and Katori kind of suck, but everybody else is pretty cool, and everybody gets character episodes, and it's a fun little balancing show. It's just fun. It's just good. The movie sucked. The movie has all fan service and no character, which is what made this good, right? Like the emotional moments, the fact that, the characters are growing as people over time is what makes a show like this fun. So just doing an entire like hour and a half of fan service is really boring, especially when the fan service isn't even good and isn't even what it says on the tin. They organize a giant rally of all the school idols that they have ever met, plus like 1,000 other ones, to do like one big finale song. And do you know what the song is? It's just them. There's nobody else. Everybody is in the background dancing, but it's not even a duet. Thank God Sunshine actually did the duet song. But like, man, did this suck. This was not a good watch. I should really speed this up because this is going to take forever at this rate. Chihaya Furu rocks. It's amazing. This is the next one in the top 3. Yes, I have 2 of the top 3 very, very, very early on. I am aware this is early bias, but I have seen Chihaya Furu multiple times. It's really fucking good. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a banger. Ghost Stories dub. It's funny. Akuma no Riddle is a bit of a weird one, and you're gonna start to see some of these weird ones. I have a very specific taste, a weird taste. I tried this one out. It's interesting. I like the premise of like it's a death game kind of thing. It's a bunch of assassins who are hired to kill one of basically they go to school. A bunch of girls go to the school, and one of them is the assassination target, and all the rest of them are assassins trying to kill her. Also, the teacher just straight up, I think he doesn't. Is it a he or a she? I think it was a he. I think he just straight up doesn't know what's going on. He's not a main character or anything, but like he's just increasingly traumatized over the course of the show as his students keep disappearing because they keep killing each other. But he doesn't know they're killing each other. It's very funny. I like the character. The cast of characters was fun. Next one up, Strawberry Panic. This is I think this is probably not a 7 plus. Again, some of the early ones are probably overrated. Strawberry Panic probably is a 7 though. Strawberry Panic is like a soap opera at like an all-girls school. It's very fun. It's not good. Like it's not like good in the traditional sense of like being dramatic and storytelling, but it has that soap opera drama energy where everything is like blown up to 500. It's very fun. It's just fun, which is just it's a fun romance drama, and it's just fun. I love that high drama sometimes. It's just fun to watch the super drama. Brains got me to episode 21. I died on that third. Once we got to the third recap episode in 21 episodes, I was out, dude. What a disaster is Brains. Maji's fun. It's definitely a bit of a mess. You're gonna see that a lot. Maji has a lot of great characters, and half of them just don't show up, and they make a lot of mistakes with them. Is Alibaba? Is that his name? That the blonde haired guy's name? Kind of boring, honestly. All the rest of the characters are interesting. I like Aladdin, even though he's kind of a lech. He's a lecherous, but he's a child, so it's like whatever, right? He's innocent. And all the other characters are great. Sinbad's fun. Jafar is cute. Morgiana's adorable. I like I forget her name. Kongyoku, the princess. She's really fun. I love how they set her up as like the prissy bitch, but then she becomes like one of the best characters in the show. She is one of my favorite. That is, in fact, one of my favorite character archetypes. The rich character, the rich character who like lives in her like palace of luxury and then is like, humbled in some way. She's great. Yeah, so it's good. There's a lot of cool ideas, but ultimately it doesn't balance its cast very well. It's very Alibaba heavy, and he's like the worst one. He's the most boring. Morgiana just doesn't exist for the Kingdom of Magic, which is the season 2. Yep, Dark Side of Dimensions, banger, R.I.P. Takahashi. Cooler suck. Now we're starting to get a little later into my anime interest. I'm now like a pretty serious anime fan. I watch Sinbad, Little Witch. I like Little Witch. It's pretty good. This is the second Studio Trigger after Kill la Kill. It's all right. It's just watch Owl House. Just watch Owl House. It's just a worse version of Owl House. Soul Eater is Owl House is basically just Dianako fan fiction, let's be honest. Hot take. Soul Eater, I don't really remember too much. Again, this is another one that's probably overrated or underrated. I don't know. Maybe it's correctly rated. I remember it being fine. I don't remember anything too specific about it. Danganronpa 3, I'm a big Danganronpa fan. I watched these after watching a friend play the games. They're good, but I've seen reviews of them where it's like, oh, I don't get what's going on. I watched the Danganronpa 1 anime. Don't watch the Danganronpa 1 anime. Watch a Let's Play of the games or play the games yourself and then watch these. Don't play V or watch V3. V3 is after these, but everything else is before these. This is a prequel to Danganronpa 2, which requires that you've seen Danganronpa 2 because it spoils the entirety of Danganronpa 2. This is a sequel to Danganronpa 1 and 2, as well as Ultra Despair Girls. So yeah, that's the order you should watch them. They're good. They're good. They're a great follow-up to the Danganronpa series. Sunshine is better than the original, honestly, even though I gave it a lower rating. I think it's not better than the original. I think the cast is better than the original. I think the cast of Sunshine is more interesting, but I think it's executed more poorly because they spend so much time on the shipping, which I'm fine if you're doing shipping, but if it's all just bait, which it is, because they have to. Sunshine has the mission of giving every single possible ship of 9 girls a different episode to ship the pairing. Yes, that included the sisters, which is why this should probably have a 6+. Honestly, I'm being very forgiving because it has the incest episode, but at least none of it is real, right? Because obviously none of the relationships are real because they're just implication, fake shit. But it's so boring and they waste so much time, and the cast is interesting. So it's I would have enjoyed this cast. And I also love that they fail to save their school, which is the twist over the original. I have not seen the Sunshine movie, and nor have I seen any of the future series. So this is where my Love Live journey ends for now. I would like to go back, but I just don't have the energy for that kind of positive that energy right now. Black Rock Shooter, whatever. It's Black Rock Shooter. Flip Flappers is pretty good. I've seen it a couple times now because I forgot the entirety of the thing after the first time I watched it. So I was like, man, I have to rewatch this because I remember nothing. It's good. It's not great. It's great, but it's a very technical 8. Because it's technically good. It's well written. It's beautifully animated. It just doesn't grab me personally. With these ratings, I try to be objective, and what I mean by objective is completely subjective. These ratings are meant to be my objective quality rating, which means my attempt based on my experiences to decide what is good and what is not. So that is obviously subjective and based on my experience and the things that I've learned over the course of my life, right? So I might be wrong. You might disagree with me, and that's totally fine. These are just my attempt at an objective-ish rating based on my knowledge. So they are still subjective. When we get to the rankings, things are going to get a lot more subjective because that is much more based on vibes. Ergo Proxy, I found really boring. I've been told it's really good, so maybe I'll like it more on a rewatch. This is definitely one of the things that's been sitting on my rewatch list for a while. Because, like, I didn't get it the first time through. Maybe I missed something. But honestly, it just seemed kind of boring, and I didn't really like any of the characters, so I just didn't care. You know? Like, I don't, if it's great if you have all this metaphorical meaning and stuff, but if I don't give a shit about the characters, it kind of just lands flat. Blood the Last Vampire is okay. I'm glad I watched it, but it's nothing special. I love the Blood franchise. I've seen every Blood, including the live action movie, which is dog shit, by the way. Last Vampire basically was this movie that was made in the 90s. I think it's 99. And they made this movie, and then they made a franchise based on this little short 50-minute movie, basically. Blood Plus is the big one. It's the best. Blood C is desperate not to be Blood Plus, and instead is just a worse version of Danganronpa V3. Don't watch Blood C. The Last Dark. The Last Dark is probably a 1, but it gets the 2+ because it has this one like 20-second action scene with a banger soundtrack where there's like where Saya is fighting these special forces goons in a Japanese ornate building, and they all have like Oni masks on, and it's really cool. That's it. That's the only reason that's a 2+. I really tried to give it the benefit of the doubt. One of the actors is monotone and sounds like she's recording her lines over the phone. It's not good. Blood Plus, again, most of these are the sub, by the way, so that is the original voice acting performance. Blood Plus is a banger. Blood basically is, the setup is basically that there's a vampire named Saya. She is not human. She's not half vampire. She's just vampire. And then there's these other vampires, the Chiropterans, that are like these bat-like creatures. They don't exist in Blood C because Blood C is trying to be cool and unique. In all the other adaptations, they are. And she's the only one who can kill her fellow vampires, basically. That's the gimmick. Her blood is toxic to them or whatever. There's also in Blood the Last Vampire 2 American operatives because it takes place on Okinawa. David and Lewis, they only appear in Blood Plus. They kind of appear in the live action movie, but like readapted and rewritten and badly. But yeah, Blood Plus is a banger. It's not super consistent. It probably doesn't deserve a 9+. This is another one on my rewatch list. Because it has Kai in it, and Kai sucks. He's the worst, and he's just like the love interest throughout the entire thing. He doesn't win. I'm gonna give you that spoiler. Kai loses at the end, and it's really fucking funny because he so deserves to lose. The guy you think is gonna be the main character is Saya, obviously, and she has 2 love interest options. One is the obvious best choice because he rocks, and the other one is Kai, who is the worst. And they really do try to sell you that Kai has a shot, and he doesn't. And so every second Kai is on the screen is a waste of my time. So yeah, that is the thing I will warn you about Blood Plus. It's also long. It's 50 episodes, but I really liked it. I think it's fun. I think it's really creative. It's also a globe hopping adventure, which is really rare. They start in Okinawa. They go to Vietnam. They get on a train ride from Russia all the way to the edge of Russia, I guess, from one side of Russia to the other. They get to spend time in France, on a boat, in America in the end. It's very fun. Every arc is in a different setting. It's so fresh. I love Blood Plus. It's really good. You'll see this again in the top 10. Sakura Trick. You've seen my penchant for this genre. Sakura Trick is boring. It's funny. It has some good jokes. There's one character. The reason this gets a 4 instead of like a 2 is there's one character. I think her name is Yuzu, and she's really funny. And that is the only thing I like about this show. Everything else is pure boring ass fluff, and I hate it otherwise. It just has one character who has a lot of good jokes. Princess Principal, there's a bunch. I have not seen Crown Handler. I don't know if it's any good. I do need to rewatch this to see if it's still a 10. But I really like it. It's really unique. I don't vouch for this 10. I'm not gonna stand by this 10. I need to rewatch this. But it was good. I remember it's a unique vibe, which I always love to see. It's this like steampunk spy show. It's cool. The vibes are awesome. The characters are pretty good. I like Anj, but I need to rewatch it. I think the character moments, there's some really great character moments. There's that really sad scene with the song. One of the girls' drunk dad who finally repents and tries to do the right thing, and then he gets fucking murdered for it. And then never shows up, and she thinks he just abandoned her. It's a heartbreaker. It's a good show. It's a good. I remember it being good. I don't think this is gonna be like, well, oh man, that show sucked. But I don't know if it's a 10. Is the question, right? Skyrise Zero, probably this is probably a pretty controversial take to say that this sucked. The beginning is like the shock episode where they kill off all the characters they introduced in the first episode at the end of the first episode. Which in a show that has characters who are woefully underdeveloped for the rest is kind of a waste because, like, yeah, you got the shock value of killing all those characters, but kind of use that time to develop the characters we're actually supposed to care about. Oh, well, we have come to the third, and you might notice the third in the top 3 is not a 10. It is an 8. Kara no Kyokai is deeply flawed, but I motherfucking love this anime. I have seen most of the movies at least 5 times. This is a series of films, not episodes, but it's kind of structured like a normal anime. I do say kind of because it's also told out of order for the first half, which is, it's brave. I'll give it that. They do try a lot of experimental storytelling techniques. It's definitely the best of the Fate franchise that I've seen. It is technically part of the Nasuverse, which is the Fate franchise. It's not really a Fate show. It has nothing to do with any of the Fate stuff other than the Mages Guild, which is the coolest part of the Fate universe anyway. It rarely gets referenced because it has Toko in it and Shiki, who are both problems if you want to have any story with tension, because they're busted. Toko does get mentioned occasionally, I believe, in Tsukihime, because she's the villain of the A Witch on the Holy Night. Is that what it's called? I don't know. I haven't seen it. Which is Aoko, Aoko Aozaki's story. It's her sister. Toko is like is chaotic neutral. It's great. I love all of these characters. They're so well. I say all. Asuka's very divisive. I don't hate her, but I am at the most neutral to her. I just don't. She's whatever. She's homophobic. But I love Mikia, which is one of the very few male characters you're gonna see me be like, yeah, I like him a lot. Mikia is great. He's the funny thing is he's like got all of the traits of a generic male protagonist, which could be its own episode, honestly, on why I hate that trope. But it's done in a unique way. He's also not the main character, which really helps. And he's just nice. You know, he's just not an ass. He's nice and he knows what he wants. He's not dense. You know, he's just a good guy. And he loves Shiki, even though they're a serial killer. Shiki is also just hyper gender. Shiki is initially a split personality between a female and a male, which is an unstated trans male appearance, which is extremely rare, although he does die. So he does get buried, but like I think this came out in like 2011, at least the anime, so that's pretty nuts. That he's even like remembered well is pretty crazy. But and it's never questioned or anything. That he's male, which is super cool. Shiki then after his death, becomes a little bit in the middle, which is very cool. and appeals to me specifically. I love the main cast. Toko, Shiki, and Mikia are some of my favorite characters ever. They're all in like my top favorite characters. I love all of them for different reasons. They're great. Karno Kikai is fun. It's not a normal sit. It's not neat. It's very weird and very experimental, and a lot of the time it falls flat. It's also a very simple story told over way too many movies, but its vibes are also fucking immaculate. Next up, Kanan is okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of jump through these. Witch Hunter Robin, man, this could have been good if the ending didn't fucking blow chunks. Man, the ending ruined this. I weight the ending very heavily. So there's a lot of shows where like Garai Zero, if its ending comes from the manga that is Garai. I haven't read Garai. It's not an anime, it's just a manga. So this is a prequel to the manga. And maybe the manga's good because like the ending of this is fine. It's just that the whole rest of it sucks ass. Like so I weight the endings heavily, often too heavily, and I have to tune it back. I think I had this way higher before. But yeah, it also cuts the other way. Witch Hunter Robin could be like an 8, honestly, if it wasn't for the dog shit ending that just makes the whole thing worse. Oh, and now we get to my most controversial take. And this is one I'm not going back to rewatch. And like, there's a couple controversial takes on here. You see one right here. I'm planning to rewatch this. I'm planning to rewatch Ergo Proxy because I understand I might have missed something. Maybe they're better on the second watch through. Maybe I missed some of the details and just wasn't in the right mood at the time to watch them. That I can get. Not happening for this. This show sucks. I hate this protagonist. She does nothing. She has no agency. She's so badly written. She just gets dragged through the entire show and like, oh, and then at the end is told that she is the hero that they've needed and she's perfect for the job. And like, I can see it as like a commentary, and that's not the only reason I hate this. Like watching it is a slog. This is the hardest sit through I've ever done. I completed this anime and I swore after this to start dropping shit when I was done. And you can see I did. But this was the last anime I forced myself to sit through. There are some cool ideas, which is why it's not any lower than this. It's beautiful. I get that. The way they implement gay characters is disgusting. I really hate it. It's not okay. I don't like how I just don't like the characters. Like, yeah, it feels like they're trying to do social commentary, like, oh, the character with no agency throughout the entire show is now the leader. But it also doesn't feel like they're doing social commentary because it's taken straight and she fixes and things are better after she becomes the leader. It's not like things are the same, you know. It's I don't believe that they took it. I don't believe that it's satire or like a dig. I think they genuinely put it that way. And I think this show sucks. I think there's nothing very clever to it. I think it's just badly written. That's my hottest take. I do not like Shinsekai. Great vibes. Well, not even really, but it is beautiful. Castlevania I put on here. Castlevania I have like here on an asterisk because it's a Western animated show, but it's done as an anime and it's based on a Japanese property. So I rate the Castlevania seasons on here, but I do not include them in my top tier list. They are not ranked down here. They're not on the top list on my ranked list. I don't treat them as anime. I would not rate them as anime. I just have them on here. So, you know, they're good. Season 3 of the original sucks like ass, but the rest are really good. Broly, this does not include Nocturne. Nocturne's lower. Broly's banger. My Hime, again, I guess this is probably another hot take. I watched this for 13 episodes and nothing happened, and I didn't like any of the characters, and I got bored and was just like, I've watched half this anime. I don't like any of the characters. Nothing has happened in the story so far. Nothing has had, these characters have not grown or changed at all. I am not hooked. I am done. I am leaving. And if an anime takes me more than half of its runtime to hook me, I'm not watching it. Moomins are cute. I love the Moomins. I love this. All the voice actor changes are really unfortunate because I think they're like universally worse than the originals. But I think a lot of the voice actors passed away during the production because it's very long. It's cute. I love it. So it's super cute. Bloomin' to You's good. I didn't vibe with me. I know the vibes with a lot of people a lot stronger than it did with me, but it's still very good. I still really enjoyed it. I just didn't really get into the characters well enough. I just couldn't really relate to them. But that is, I think, a me issue more than the show's quality. Violet Evergarden is good. I think this used to be a 10. It's not. It's fine. I don't like love this. It's good. It's excellent. Like Violet Evergarden is an excellent anime. Like I said, 8 is excellent. I loved it. But it didn't like slay me or anything. You know, I wasn't bowled over. Fate Zero, season 1 is really good. Season 2, this show is ruined by the fact that it has to be a prequel to Fate Stay Night, which sucks. Sorry, Fate fans. It's the most basic generic male protagonist thing because it's a harem anime, because it's a fucking porn game that they tried to make a real anime. And it absolutely feels like a porn game. And all of the stuff leading up to that means all of these characters cannot have anything resolved. Saber has to suck ass and be boring. And it's just miserable for being miserable's sake. It doesn't say anything. Its miserableness doesn't say anything. It doesn't feel like there's a statement to be made. It's just like, man, everything sucks, huh? I hope there's a hero boy who's going to have a lot of girls, who's like a nothing, and his only personality is he wants justice or whatever, and he'll get a harem, and that'll save us all, right? And I appreciate that, like, this sets up a lot of really interesting questions about Saber, who has like a lot of very interesting questions about like who she is, what she wants to do, how her view on the world. But the problem is that all of these interesting questions about who she is and who she's going to be and all of her beliefs are very simple to answer. She needs a boyfriend. And that's why Fate Zero kind of sucks, even though it's good. And I love Fate Zero and I would watch it again, but it just is. Fate Zero would have been, obviously, the thing keeping this, but I do have to mention the obvious. There is one part of Fate Zero that has nothing to do with Fate Stay Night from the beginning to the end. And it is the saddest part because it shows you how fucking good Fate Zero could have been. It is Waver, and Waver Velvet's whole arc is the best shit. I love it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that shit is 10 out of 10. Waver and Alexander are absolutely 10 out of 10 material. That does not, like, this is the entire summation of the show is a 7 out of 10. If you cut out everything other than Waver, it is a 10 out of 10, okay? I want you to know Waver rocks. Look, he's right here. He got his own show, dude. It's not very good. It's super dense and silly, but it's more Waver. So I like it, okay? I like Waver. This is an underrated classic. I like this. Twist in the middle is really crazy. And I like how they like did the twist in the middle instead of like at the beginning. You actually got to know the characters before the thing happens, and it's really fun. And you have to actually deal with the consequences. Yoso Gig is weird but fun family drama shown through this crazy animated world. Lane, I was bored by. I didn't get it. Again, I mentioned that I'll probably rewatch it. I probably will. So don't crucify me for thinking Lane is just kind of meh. I was bored. Sorry. This is also the first post-college anime, I believe. So we've entered officially into the post-college era. I am done with college now. Everything I watched here is I watched in college. We are officially in the post-college era now. Yep, Rage of Bahamut. Oh, okay. So this is the 3 weeks stuck by myself trying to. I watched a bunch of these. Yeah, all of these. All of these. When I was no, maybe not all of these, but like a lot of these. When I went home, I had a falling out with some friends. I had a little bit of a mental breakdown, maybe, and this was I had 3 weeks on my own, to recover, and these are the things I watched, and I had a great that 3 weeks is like some of the best 3 weeks I've ever had. Like I just had so much productivity. It was like a big mental health thing. I watched a lot of anime again for the first time. I hadn't watched anime in a while. There's a huge gap between not between here. This was the first I watched. There's a huge gap between 59 and 60. Um, Rage of Bahamut is really weird and like kind of bad, but also buck fucking wild. They take some crazy risks with the storytelling. Most of them don't pay off, but I'm glad that they tried. Rage of Bahamut's failures are not because it ever played itself too safe, and I really appreciate that. Like playing too safe is boring. Go fucking balls to the wall and take huge risks like Kara no Kyokai, and you'll get something like Rage of Bahamut. It's not perfect. It's in fact kind of a mess, but damn if I didn't enjoy it. Highly recommend, honestly. If you want just a fun, new, fresh experience, go for it. Um, Prisma Ilia, I regret watching. I thought like, oh man, I'm trying to like make my magical system. I should watch some more Fate. Oh, this is Fate mixed with magical girls. This should be interesting. I do not to this day know how I sat through all of Fate, Khalid Liner, Prisma Ilia. I wish I hadn't. Man, it's bad. Howl's Moving Castle, we get to a bunch of wonderful Ghibli films. All of these are great. Porco Rosso's really underrated. It just doesn't have an ending. Somali and the Forest Spirit is really cute. It's really adorable. Highly recommend. I hope it gets a second season at some point. Very cute anime. I also great, immaculate vibes and character designs for this one, and visual design in this one. This is another one with those ethereal, magical vibes. It's also just a really sweet story. It's nothing special, but I really like. It's very predictable, but it's just very well done. You know, it's nothing. It's not going to blow your socks off, but it's very well executed. You know, Promare does the thing where racism is solved by killing the one bad guy who's causing all the racism, which I don't like, but it's fun otherwise. At least it like tries to do an anti-racism message, even though it fails. Um, this was cute. Marduk Scramble is fucking weird as shit. It is another one. It is much darker than Rage of Bahamut. Do not watch this if you are not ready for some hardcore shit. Um, it is a bizarre cyberpunk show with um some choices. I say show. It's actually just 3 movies. It's not a show, so it's a very easy watch. It's just 3 movies. The first movie is I don't remember which movie is the one with the casino. I think it's the third movie, but the casino sequence in Marduk Scramble is a 10 out of 10. It's so fucking cool. It's like this. She goes around the casino trying to win. She's trying to win $1 million chip because that's where like the thing she's looking, the MacGuffin is stored in a specific $1 million chip. So she not only needs to win $1 million chip, she also needs to win the correct $1 million chip. So she has to win multiple of them and scan to get the right one. And she is like a cyborg because she was resurrected, so she can cheat, but also has to go up against like these crazy, like the cheating house. And there's like these great mind games, and she makes friends with some of the dealers, and it's so good. It's really really cool. I love the rest of the show. It's kind of meh, but that fucking sequence, it gets this plus almost exclusively, maybe even a full point and a half, just because of that casino sequence alone. I recommend it if you are just no going in, content warning, rape. Like it is very dark, very hardcore. Um, uh, do not go into that. I don't know why I have it starred. Oh, it's because it's like Kara no Kyokai, a series of films. Okay. Um, yeah. So it's like that. It's only 3 films though, so easy watch if you're interested. Oseki no Kuni is very good. I think everybody knows that. Here's another one of my favorites. This one has been I've seen Yona twice. Yona is an absolute fucking banger. I actually think I just revised the scale like today. I did. I think I did. I say I think, but like I did. Um, Yona is a fucking banger. I love her. I love Hawk. All of the dragons are fun. It's a great watch. Highly recommend Yona. It is such a fun show. I love all the characters. The story's interesting. Um, it's such a great setup. And yeah, I definitely highly recommend Yona. Kino's Journey. Kino's Journey actually, because there's two. There, this was rebooted in 2017, and they made a new one in 2017. The original, I would say, is better, but not like much better. The new one has some less good stories, but mostly is about of the same quality. The new one tries to be a little more less episodic and a little more serialized than the original, which is this sort of episodic, traveling adventure. I'm kind of giving this intro because there's another one on this list that is similar to it, and the reboot was not as good. Um, Kiki's Delivery Service is good. Oh, here we go. Decadence. This is one of my favorites. It is one of the most underrated animes. It was fucking killed in its season because nobody watched it because there was some other big anime coming out, so everyone was watching that. The only people who watched Decadence were people who saw the trailer and thought it would be a ripoff of Attack on Titan and were disappointed that it is decidedly not a ripoff on Attack on Titan and left. And they were waiting because it was in between Attack on Titan seasons. So they were like, oh, I can watch this ripoff while I wait for more Attack on Titan. And then episode 2 came along and they decided, no, actually, this is not Attack on Titan. I don't want to watch it. And nobody watched it. And it is a fucking banger. Decadence rocks. It is so cool. I love all of the characters. It is a great story. It is well told. My only complaint is that the ending is kind of too happy, but it is a hell yeah. It is a tear down the system fucking thing, which obviously appeals to me, but also just with a wonderful cast. Super fun. Disabled protagonist, which is very rare. She's super cool. Yeah, I love Decadence. Definitely highly recommend Decadence. It at the top of my list of recommends. One of the most underrated anime ever. It wears its twists on its sleeve. It does not hide its twists, which is really unique. It is way more interested in dealing with the consequences of all of its twists. It's a story with a lot of twists, and it does not care to hide them. It just gives you the twist and then says, okay, well, how do we deal with this? And I think that's such an amazing way to tackle a story. It makes it so fun and dynamic, and it's such a great show. 10 out of 10, solid. I've seen it 3 times through. I've seen it 3 times through. Absolutely would recommend Decadence to anyone. Absolute banger. Zombieland Saga season 1 is fucking amazing. The twist with Sakura hits me in the heart in a way very few things do. Season 2 was kind of a mess. Was definitely not as good. Looking forward to the movie with the aliens, I guess. Kind of an underrated classic, honestly. It's very weird because this is an anime based on like advertising province of Japan, and yet it has like a rural province too, and yet it has the sudden and uncommented on trans rep, which hell yeah. Black Fox, interesting attempt at a pilot. It's not that good. Paprika is good. Dororo is very, very good. That might show up on the movie night poll at some point for those of you who know. Um, Psycho Pass, I also need to rewatch. I've only seen season 1. This is only season 1. I have not seen the other seasons. I need to rewatch this. This is not. I'm not confident on this rating at all. I have 2 stars next to it because it means there's seasons I haven't watched. There's stuff that I haven't watched. That's what the 2 stars mean, by the way. If you could see that. Ibane Renmei, bit of an obscure pick, but it's this really interesting, like, magical mystery anime. It's not like a mystery anime. It's like this very understated mystery. Uh, it's basically they're living in like kind of heaven, but like the mysteries are also like they're kind of solved, but also kind of unsolved. It's really fascinating, really well told. It's very grounded in its characters because ultimately the mystery of the world doesn't matter. It's the mysteries of the characters and their personalities and growth. Um, it's a fascinating show. I definitely want to rewatch it. It's really, really good. Um, Demi-chan, very cute. I like it. Has really good message. I read some more of the manga as well. It has a lot of really good messages. It really comes from like a. It seems like it. I think the author. Apparently, the author didn't know how like wholesome this is and how like openly accepting this is of like people being different, and you know, it's about racism, but also really applies to LGBT people. It's definitely just like a really warm, fuzzy anime that hits surprisingly close to home, I think. Um, and I definitely recommend reading the manga as well. It's really, really good. Um, this is a great cast and a great story. Um, Arashima is like the version of not blood of Bloom Into You that hits me a lot more personally. It's very similar in the premise, just that the 2 characters I like more. I like Adachi and Shimamura more. It is way slower burn than any of the romances I've ever seen. I don't even think season 1. I think Shimamura gets to the point. Adachi has a crush almost immediately. I think Shimamura gets to the point of accepting that Adachi might like her as at least a friend by the end of season 1. Shimamura hates herself, and it is. I really like how they portray Shimamura. I think Shimamura is a really interesting and relatable character for me, at least. And Adachi has horrible social anxiety, and so they depression and social anxiety. Uh, the downside is that there is this bizarre subplot with this kid who is an alien. That's not a joke or like a oh she thinks she's an alien. No, no, no. She's like an actual like real alien. This is an otherwise really grounded and sweet romance, slow burn romance with just an alien, and she's just an alien, and I don't know why she's in the show. I don't know what she's doing there, but she's there and she's an alien. Here, a classic banger. 12 Kingdoms is a mess, absolute disaster. It is paced like shit, but it is also so cool. The story and world building are fascinating, but like, man, is this story a jumbled mess in how they tell it? It's like a bunch of weird vignettes out of order. I love it. Has one of my favorite character archetypes we mentioned. I don't remember her name. Um, I have this open. Probably has spoilers, but what was I thinking of? I gotta move, you know. Uh, it has it in Japanese. Juniko is. What was her name? What was her name? Oh, I love Rakushin. Rakushin is just the giant rat. He makes all of the rules, and everybody needs. He knows all of the rules. He is a law-abiding citizen, and Shoke. Shoke, I love her. She's my favorite character. She is the daughter of a tyrant who lives in luxury and then gets kicked out and is a prissy bitch about it for the entire journey before eventually finally getting ground down. partially after she meets my boy Rakashun. Um, yeah, it's really good. This is a weird show because it's like so terribly paced, but it's very cool. Yeah, more shows should have giant rats in them that are just friends. Mahatsuka Yome 6+. I really like the show. I think everybody does who's seen it. It's definitely a Hurt Comfort fanfic, but like, who doesn't like that? It's a mess. Season 2 is really weird, but it's cute and fun, and everybody is just and wholesome, and you can't not like it, right? Now we get to Mushishi, which is Jormungand's fine. Mushishi is the one I mentioned earlier. It is also an episodic, and they gave it a season 2 years after the original was canceled, and season 2 sucks. I gave it the benefit of the doubt and just said that it's as good as the first season. Season 2 doesn't suck. Like, it's not like bad. It's just not nearly as good because what's his name? Ginkgo. Ginkgo in the first series is interested in things. Like, he gets himself involved, right? Like, it is a wanderer, but Ginkgo actively gets involved in shit. Like, he chooses to get into these things because he's interested and wants to help. In the sequel series, it's very much more like there's an ongoing plot line that Ginkgo like kind of is just like forced into. Like, he doesn't really want to be a part of anything, and he doesn't really have the agency that he does in the original series, which is, I think, what makes Mushishi really interesting, is that it is this very episodic story, but he keeps getting himself into the trouble. Like, he actively chooses to get into trouble, and I think that makes him such an interesting character. And I definitely recommend the first season of Mushishi. It's really good. Also, again, another magical, ethereal vibes, immaculate vibes show. Seireno Moribito is good. I just don't remember too much about it. Planetez is very good. It's got some weird stuff, but overall, I really liked it. Berserk is cool. Zen and Zard has some cool ideas. I wish it was not like I wish it was an actual anime instead of like a series of vignettes. Made in Abyss is Made in Abyss. I don't honestly know if a 9+ is accurate. It is a lot. Like, Made in Abyss is very heavy and very dense. I would love to talk about it with somebody for a few hours and like try to sort out my thoughts at some point if I rewatch it. I know there's a lot of controversy about some of the very dark things it depicts, and whether those things are worth depicting at all. Or it definitely has some stuff that I don't like the weird obsession with bodily fluids is like definitely weird. Like, that, there's nothing not weird about that. But like, some of the other things it goes into are not, like, I don't know. Like, there's definitely a discussion to be had on whether they're worth having the discussion on in a medium like this. But it's definitely interesting. It's definitely a show that is worth, I'm glad it exists and it is worth talking about. It has a lot of very cool things, a lot of very creative ideas. It's definitely just got a bit of weirdness to it that is undeniable, and definitely is like an anchor kind of around its ankle. Shirayuki Hime, very cute. I love this. This is a genre of anime I've gotten into. I wish there were more of these that I knew of. If you have recommendations, it's similar to Yona and another show we'll get to later. That I watched recently. I really like these. It's like female led, and like she has like a boyfriend basically that she's developing a relationship with. Although in the case of the one down here, I don't think they're boyfriend. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think she likes it very much. But these are just a great genre. They're very fun. They got good vibes. The male protagonist is usually like a nice guy who's like good, and it makes him likable, and they make him actually likable. Zen in Akame no Shirayuki Hime, or Snow White with the Red Hair, which I thought was too generic. I think I picked the Japanese title here because Snow White with the Red Hair sounded too generic, and I wanted to like make sure I remembered what I was talking about. That's such a bad title. I know that's what this means, but like, it still sucks. It's a terrible title. Good anime though. Good fun, wholesome, chill anime. Um Last Exile, Toko returns. Last Exile is I wanted to like this anime so bad. I really gave this. I was hooked for the first 15 episodes of this anime. This is the inverse of My Hime. My Hime, I couldn't get into it for 13 episodes and I gave up. Last Exile, I was into this shit. I was into it. I wanted to like this. I was enjoying myself. And then suddenly episode 16 happens and it turns into a harem anime. Just out of the blue, suddenly it's a normal harem anime. And I was like, fuck this, I'm out. I don't like this show enough to suffer through this. And I left and I ditched. Now we're coming to the end. The Animatrix is really good. I highly recommend watching this before you watch The Matrix 3. I think this brought Matrix 3 into a much better context when I watched Matrix 3 finally. I was glad I watched this first. And it was, and I really enjoyed Matrix 3. I thought Matrix 3 was really good, which is apparently a really hot take. But I think maybe having this context is why I thought it was good. Licorice is fun. I love Witch from Mercury. I wish it wasn't it's kind of a mess. I wish it committed a lot harder to the themes that it starts going. But I can also see that there was definitely executive meddling. I am fully aware that there is a wedding scene and a kiss scene between the two leads that were forcibly cut, that I believe were fully animated, but were forcibly cut by the studio because girls are not allowed to kiss each other. Yeah, fuck that. They have wedding rings at the end, by the way. They couldn't cut that out because they had the wedding scene written. So at the end, they have wedding rings on. So like they're married. Yeah. It's up to as the studio said, it's up to interpretation. But yeah, Witch from Mercury is a banger. I wish it wasn't so much of a mess in terms of its plot line, but I do like that it goes to some interesting places. I wish it went harder on those. I like its cast though; it's good. Even not just the main duo. As much as I like Soletta and Mirin, the other characters are great too. Angie Magus Bride stuff; these were fine. Hell's Paradise is a new. A lot of these are very new. A lot of these came out recently. I'm just catching up on new anime because I liked some of the premises and there's some cool stuff. Hell's Paradise is kind of cool. It's like set on an island death game kind of thing, but it's set with like a bunch of like samurai and ninjas from like the shogunate period. But there's also like they're on this like magic island that they're all being so it's like each samurai is paired with a or executioner, I guess, is paired with a criminal, an elite criminal. And they have to go onto this crazy island to conquer it for Japan or whatever, and bring back the fountain of youth, basically. It's crazy. This is only season 1. Apparently, there is a season 2 coming. I really liked it. I thought it was pretty damn good. We'll see more in season 2 if it continues being good. I'm in love with the villainess. Was cute. It has some very weird stuff. I liked how they addressed Ray's sexuality. She is just openly gay. They don't pussyfoot around it. There's definitely some weird stuff. She's definitely a little bit of a weird stalker. Like they say that's like one of her lines is "I'm gay," so which is great. You love to see it, but yeah, she's there's some weird writing in here that hurts it pretty badly. It's fine. It's cute if that's what you're if you enjoy that sort of stuff like I do. Nocturne is very good. It's a mess. I call it. It has the Sprite series problem where they keep coming back, which is a term negative one of you will get. But basically, everybody keeps coming back to the same spot and then going to a place, and it makes the pacing bizarre. But the actual story and characters are great. I love Maria. She's so fun. Apothecary Diaries is the third of those shows I mentioned. I would include Shiryuki and Yona in them. Female protagonist in a medieval setting with a nice boyfriend. Except this one's a little different in that her boyfriend is a creep and a weirdo, and he's not her boyfriend at all. I think she would kill anybody for even implying that. But Mao Mao is fantastic. I love her. I think anybody who's seen the show loves her. She's such a fucking weirdo. It's great. Like honestly, they come off as friends to me. I don't really get the ship if there's a ship, but like as bros they work because he's a fucking weirdo too, and he's a creep. But she's also just a fucking creep, and I love her. Her and her obsession with eating poison is very funny. I love that she's like a little mystery solver. It's like Sherlock Holmes in medieval China. It's fun. It's such a fun show. Um, Witch of the Beast was all right. I liked it. I'm looking forward to season 2 if there's a season 2. It's got some crazy, weird lore stuff, but just doesn't really grab me in any way. Rerun I saw. It's good. I heard it was really good. It was really good. I watched it in one night. I didn't think I was gonna watch it all in one night, but I watched it all in one night. It was pretty good. Um, it's I wouldn't say it's like flawless. I think that there's some odd pacing and some of the characters don't maybe get the development they deserve or maybe are a little superfluous. But I liked it. I love the vibes. The world building. Oh no, I think the real problem I have with it was the world building's a little weird. I don't remember what specifically I didn't like about it because it's been a while since I finished it. But yeah, I thought the world building was a bit odd and a little boring, honestly. But I love the characters. Freerin herself is really fascinating. Her inner world is really interesting, and I like Fern. I like what's his name, Stark. We're all really good. I like the other guy that they team up with briefly. It's good. All the characters introduced are good. It's a really nice story. A lot of interesting. The characters in the history of the world are at least interesting, even if I think like the lore of the world building is not super fascinating to me. The RPG world mechanics just throws me, honestly. But the rest of the show is really good. I highly recommend Free Run. It definitely lives up to the reputation it had when it was airing. That it was like one of the best things on TV, and I think it absolutely deserved the reputation it had. It absolutely lives up to it. I just finished today, and the onus for me making this video, deciding to finally make this, even though it's a little early because there's some I have to rewatch. Was I finished Metallic Rouge today? It was okay. It was fine. It was interesting. It tried some stuff. I probably gave it a higher rating than most people would. It's a mess. I will acknowledge it is definitely a mess. It definitely has way too many things going on for 13 episodes and way too many characters for 13 episodes. I'll appreciate that it tries some interesting things, tries some interesting messaging. It Some of it falls flat and feels weird, like the idea that the oppressed maybe shouldn't uprise because they'll hurt the oppressors is a message that's kind of in there, but they subvert it at the very end. Um, and they do like they're like don't unlock the ability for the robots to kill themselves to hurt people, not kill themselves, to hurt people because then they'll become the oppressors or something, right? And they do unleash them anyway, because it turns out that her flawed ideology, the villain's flawed ideology, was actually just pre-programmed by the real villain, which I guess is a spoiler, but like also it's not because you're not going to remember anything if you choose to watch this. It was interesting. I love the animation. The soundtrack is a fucking banger. I highly recommend listening to the soundtrack for Metallic Rouge. Yep. And I'm currently watching Girls Band Cry, which just came out. It's 3D, which is always nice. I really like how they use the 3D. Like Hoseki no Kuni, where it uses the 3D. I like the characters. I like the cast so far. I'm 10 episodes in. I watched them all in one night, um, which I, again, was not planning to do. It's definitely a little weird. Some of the character development is a little inconsistent. I feel like for a 13 episode anime that's 10 episodes in, that we're not anywhere near where we should be, unless they're planning for a season 2, which, I'd be down for a season 2, but and like I don't mind a slow burn. Like I'm fine with a slow burn, but you need to balance the amount that you can do, right? Like if the story ends up incomplete, it's not going to feel fulfilling. Or if you rush through some of the story points, and I feel like they're kind of not spending enough time on the stuff they need to be. Like the main characters, at least 3 of them, are kind of the bad guys. And I wish they would embrace that a little more and like be the bad guys. Do what you got to do to make yourself happy. Don't force, the norms of other people onto yourself just because it would make you the good guy, right? The main character, it's Tomo is one of the bad guys. Momo is a disaster, and luckily it should be at the top here. Nina, I already remembered it. Nina is also, I think they're hinting that she might have been the one who ruined her friendship. Obviously, the bullying wasn't her fault, but I like the characters. I really like the drama in the story. Is really well written and really interesting. Yeah, it's good. It's a pretty good show so far. I'm not going to give it a rating, obviously, because I haven't finished it. So, you know, maybe I'll do an update sometime in the future. We'll look at the top 10 now because I do have to go do other things than record this. But yeah, my top 10 right now, obviously subject to change. Yeah, I've already talked about all of these. I don't think there's any I didn't mention. The italics ones are ones I need to rewatch. You could see some more. I try to rank all of them nowadays. I didn't rank everything that's in there because I only started doing this like a couple years ago where I started putting them in this list. This list is like semi-accurate. I don't know. Yona's great. Made in Abyss is great. Princess Principal's good. These are the four that are solidified. The bold ones are solidified. Like this is the order. Kill la Kill is probably deserves to be bolded, honestly. I've seen it a couple times. So like this is my top 5 definitively is Kill la Kill, Decadence, Kara no Kyokai, Madoka Magica, and Chihaya. Madoka's really fucking good. Go watch it if you haven't seen it, and don't look up spoilers. Chihaya Furu is really fucking good. Kara no Kyokai is weird as shit, but like I recommend it. Decadence. See, this is the case of subjectivity, right? Like everything else in the top 5 is a 10. Kara no Kyokai is way above things that are rated an 8, but I think it's good even despite it's flawed, but I personally love it. So you see things are not in any sort of rated order here, they're just in my personal preference order, right? So that's my personal preference. Here's the I'll scroll through this which is just the order. You can pause in which I watched everything and what year I watched everything and when I rewatched stuff. I don't think I have every rewatch for Kara no Kyokai, but maybe I do. So yeah, that's where we are today. These are completed, so obviously Girls Bank Cry is not on here. But that's that for today's Void Talk. I am talked out. I hope you enjoyed this little trip down my anime list. If there's any anime you want me to hear, like me specifically go into more detail on maybe a future episode, you can put that in the comments. If you enjoyed this, I'll try to talk more about like things that aren't just politics all the time. So if you like this, not politics episode, leave a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed. All the generic sellout shit, whatever. I do my thing. I do the thing. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and bye.